Hey guys, Weeby News here, and today I'm going to be making a video discussing Project Eden's Garden, which is a free playable visual novel that's inspired by Danganronpa. I'm sure quite a few of you have probably already seen the trailer for it since it has rightfully gained a ton of traction. It's reached over 1 million views as of right now, and it's definitely one of the most ambitious projects I've seen recently, and because of that, I've become really interested in it. Everything from the art, to the character direction, to the animation, to the gameplay looks really amazing and really legit so far. So I'm really excited to make this video and go really in depth on it and give my opinion on it some. And I hope you guys will enjoy it. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if this is something that you're interested in, me talking about fan games. I'd love to make more videos like this, so please let me know if this is something that you enjoy. And yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Like I mentioned before, Project Eden's Garden is a visual novel game inspired by Danganronpa. It's described on their YouTube page as taking the formula of a murder mystery visual novel video game and applying it to an entirely new world with new characters and stories to tell. This is a point that the creators have really emphasized a lot, that this game's story will not connect to the previous Danganronpa series in any way, and that they want to separate Project Eden's Garden from the Danganronpa universe while still keeping some familiarity with it. This is likely why they decided to not include Danganronpa in the title and instead call it Project Eden's Garden. They state that they want to take the best parts of the Danganronpa formula while improving on the weaker points of the series. So the basic structure of the killing game will remain, and how it goes from story motivation to free time events to more story to someone dying to the investigation to the class trial, etc. The art style is still very obviously Danganronpa inspired, and don't worry, there will still be Pepto-Bismol colored blood, as confirmed on their Discord. But it's notable that the creators have stated that many recurring tropes that occur in canon Danganronpa games will not be appearing in this one, like a double murder in Chapter 3 or a buff character dying in Chapter 4, etc. And looking over the main cast, there is no mystery talent for any of the characters in this game that we usually see in the mainline games as well. The project started back in January of 2020 and was originally an idea for a live action series, but after the pandemic began, they realized that it might be easier to actually make it into a playable game. The project is made by a small team of developers and artists. Some of the members include Obelisk, the creative director, CPG Juvd, the technical director, Taka Omari, the art director, In Greentail, the lead artist, Saze, an artist and writer, and then Robberites and HGrave01, who are the music composers. I do want to say there are more people working on this project. These are just some of the main credits I found while making this video. And like I said before, Project Eden's Garden is in fact a playable game and not a video series like many other Danganronpa inspired fan projects. It's being made using the Unity game engine. The game will be free to play and is being released for the PC. It will be accessible through their website, and on there you'll need to download an application in order to run it. There's also no plans for there to be a browser version of the game, like when you run it immediately in the browser tab. I'm assuming it'll be pretty similar to Yoshino Dai's English translation and how you're able to download it pretty easily from VG Person's website, since they state that they're trying to make the process as easy and simple as possible, but this is just my speculation on it. And as for the gameplay, they confirmed that they are working on new mini-games to incorporate into the trials, as well as improving upon the mini-games that the community largely criticizes, like Hangman's Gambit. Recently, they actually showed off footage for their closing argument, and of course, this doesn't represent the final version of the game, and they have placeholder images in order to avoid spoilers, but I think it does a great job at illustrating just how high quality the gameplay will look. As for the story, the creative director Obelisk mentioned that they want the story to remain mysterious since they want to keep everyone in suspense in terms of what's going on. But even with that being said, there will likely be both a gameplay and a story trailer before the game's full release so that everyone has some general context on what it's about. Currently, there is a story summary posted on their Discord as well, and it reads, Eden's Garden Academy, a school designed to find the best and brightest of America's youth, has begun recruiting for its first ever class of ultimate students, teens/young adults between the ages of 13 to 24 who have displayed remarkable skill, knowledge in their respective field of study, and have decided on 16 candidates for this opening year. But things are not so clear when Damon Maitsu, the ultimate debater, finds himself waking up in a dorm room after falling unconscious upon entering the main hall of the school. Finding his 15 other classmates stuck in the same situation, they are told that a killing game will commence, and that it will be documented for the world to see. It's up to Damon and his classmates to survive this killing game and uncover the secrets that lay buried under the mystery that surrounds Eden's Garden Academy. There's definitely a few things I find pretty interesting regarding the summary. The game is named Project Eden's Garden, which makes it seem like the title's likely inspired by the story of the Garden of Eden from the Bible. For those of you who are unaware, the story goes as followed. In the Bible, it describes Adam and Eve as the first people to ever be created by God, and that they lived in the Garden of Eden, which was described to be a lush and beautiful utopia. In the garden, they lived naked and unashamed of their exposed bodies and sexuality, and there was also two unique different trees that existed there, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. God told them that they were allowed to eat from any tree in the garden except for the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and that if they did eat from it, they would surely die. Later, Satan disguises himself as a snake and tempts Eve into eating the fruit. She soon tempts Adam into eating it as well, and after eating it, suddenly everything changes for them. Their eyes are open and they become ashamed of their nakedness and sought to cover themselves. And it mentions that for the first time they find themselves hiding from God in fear, and when God finds out, he banishes them both from the Garden of Eden. Some other ways that Project Eden's Garden seems to relate to the story is that in several pieces of official art, it shows Damon and Eva, the protagonist, and a seemingly important female character holding apples, which is often used to symbolize the forbidden fruit, aka the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Both of their names sound pretty similar to Adam and Eve as well, with them being called Damon and Eva. Also, Damon wears a snake imprint on its tie, referencing the animal that Satan disguises himself as in the story. The Garden of Eden story can be analyzed and interpreted in a bunch of different ways, and I saw a lot of different ones while making this video, and it'd be way too much to get into all of them, so I just kind of want to focus on the themes I hear the most often regarding it. Firstly, the Garden of Eden is described as a wonderful, sinless paradise. The school Damon and the others are originally recruited for is called Eden's Garden Academy, and is similar to a school like Hope Speak Academy, where they recruit only the best and brightest who have mastered their respective talents. Because the school is so sought after, I'm sure it would seem like a perfect utopia to most people in their world, making the name Eden's Garden pretty appropriate. The killing game aspect that's introduced upon their arrival, I feel like also goes pretty well with the original story too, since this could symbolize the temptation to sin that the tree in the original story represents. Also, the snake imprint on Damon's tie makes me suspicious that he may somehow be a catalyst that causes the first murder, since Satan disguises himself as a snake in the Garden of Eden when he first tempts Eve to sin. The other main theme I see discussed regarding the Garden of Eden is sin. The Augustine Christian doctrine relates the story to the idea of original sin, which is the belief that everyone is born sinful and with a built-in urge to do bad things and disobey God. Since this game is being broadcasted to the world and involves America's best and brightest murdering each other, I feel like the people behind it could possibly be from like a religious cult that takes this idea of original sin very seriously and wants to prove to the world the inherent evil of humans by making them compete in such a horrendous game. But this, of course, is just my speculation. Feel free to let me know what your theories are regarding this. I also find it interesting that the ages range from 13 to 24. It reminds me of the contestants in Your Turn to Die, and how many of the participants greatly differ in age in that game, with some being children while others are full-blown adults. I think it creates an interesting dynamic, and I'm curious to see how they decide to use it, whether or not the older participants decide to be more protective of the younger ones, or if they target them due to their lack of life experience. Next, I'd like to talk about the overseers of this killing game, known as Tozu and Mara. They basically seem to be the Monokuma of this game, the ones who explain and enforce the rules to the participants, but obviously they give off very different vibes than Monokuma does. Instead of an adorable yet sinister plush, they look pretty terrifying and human-like. They both seem to hide their identities using animal-inspired designs too. In the team's first development vlog, they mentioned that the drastic change in aesthetic for the overseers was done on purpose to again distinguish it from the canon storyline of the mainline Danganronpa games. And although these characters look way different and much more scary than Monokuma, they did decide to create some familiarity to the original franchise by basing their color schemes off of Monokuma, with Tozu having a mostly white color scheme and Mara having a mostly black one. Tozu's bio reads, "The self-declared host of the killing game, Headmaster Tozu proclaims that he will bring salvation and redemption to all the students attending Eden's Garden Academy. Despite his volatile demeanor, Tozu demonstrates surprising restraint when orchestrating the procedures of the killing game, almost as if his twisted rules have both structure and reason behind them. From what can be inferred, there is definitely a man behind the mask." Mara, the other overseer, is described to be the enforcer of the killing game, and her bio reads, "Mara is possibly even more mysterious than the Headmaster Tozu, armed to the teeth, no remorse will be shown whenever Mara needs to take action against any of the students who break the rules. Along with her towering height and silent but deadly attitude, fear will strike the heart of anyone that falls into her sights. I've always been interested in seeing Danganronpa take a more serious and dark tone, like more in the direction of Distrust, the beta version of Danganronpa. So I'm really excited to see some antagonists that are more scary and intimidating, and I think it will definitely contribute to the overall atmosphere and make the death game seem much more realistic and intense. Tozu's description again definitely makes me think of how this game might tie into religion and the idea of original sin like I mentioned before, since it mentions that Tozu wants to bring salvation and redemption to the students. This type of language relates strongly to biblical terms and is usually used to illustrate someone overcoming sin. So for me personally, I could definitely see this killing game being run by a strict religious cult, and his description makes me feel more solidified in this idea. Another theory I have is that maybe the cult is really invested in the idea of everybody being born evil and sinful, and that they think the only way for them to repent is through this death game somehow, whether that be by avoiding the temptations and incentives given to murder, or maybe they believe that the only way someone can truly become redeemed and pure is through death. Very brutal, I know. But there definitely have been some cults in the past that have believed this idea after I did some research. One was actually called Adam House and was directly related to the story of Adam and Eve. I don't really want to go into detail on it in this video because it's pretty brutal and depressing. As for Mara, she seems to be a quiet yet dangerous antagonist that will likely be the one in charge of punishing anyone who disobeys the rules. I also wonder how big of a role she'll have in each execution for the killers. I'm wondering if maybe like the Monokubs, we'll actually see her carrying out the executions in the cutscenes. And personally, I think that would be a pretty cool thing to add to the executions. The main character for this game is Damon Maitsu, the ultimate debater. His biography reads, "There was never a doubt in Damon's mind that he was destined to be the ultimate debater. From an early age, Damon would argue with anyone that tried to confront him. This led him to learn how to argue from any position and any topic. Such frequent confrontations left Damon isolated from his peers, further leading him down the path of ignoring others solely to train his talent, with the hope that one day he will be admired by everyone for his skill. It seems like his talent as the ultimate debater will definitely help him with leading each trial, and it makes sense as to why they would make him the protagonist. I also like that he seems to be more standoffish and antisocial compared to other protagonists in the mainline series. I'm really interested to see how he interacts with the others, especially during free time events. In Danganronpa, I feel like all the protagonists, with the exception of Kaede, although they all have different personalities, they tend to go through the same arc, which is to build confidence in themselves and their talent or lack thereof. And I'm glad that Damon seems to be pretty different in that respect, since he already has a lot of confidence in his talent. So it'll be nice to see him develop in a different way, since I've seen that other arc done so much in the mainline series. Another character that's been very prominent in the promotion of this game is Eva Sunaka, the ultimate liar. Her bio reads, "In a killing game, you need to be able to trust those around you, but with the ultimate liar, is trust even possible? Eva has made it clear that she doesn't intend to lie to anyone, but how can we believe any promise she makes? Truly a quiet and mysterious figure, she often stares into the distance and makes you feel like anything you say to her is being completely ignored, as if she's lost in her own world of thought." I could definitely see her and the main character hitting it off pretty early into the game, since they both seem to be very socially awkward and tend to ignore others. I think it'd be really interesting if she seemed like she was going to be the best girl type of character, but then ends up backstabbing Damon, since she seems to be pretty untrustworthy. I could see her pivoting to a rival type character instead if that does happen, but obviously I'm basing these ideas off of nothing and just kind of giving my thoughts. Let me know what you think of that idea and if you like it or not. As for the other characters, I'd really like to go into more depth on them, but this video I feel like is already going to be pretty long, so let me know if you guys would be interested in me making a sequel where I discuss them and what I think their roles might be in the killing game, like I did for Kill Cure a while back. And something interesting I noticed about all of them too is that they all have animal emblems on their attire. I feel like that may have some type of significance to the story at some point, so I just wanted to point it out. If I do end up making that second video, I'll definitely kind of talk about that more in depth. Also, recently they revealed some of their close to finished sprite variations for several of the characters, such as the protagonist, Damon, as well as Diana, Jean, and Wolfgang. So I just want to go ahead and show off those here. And finally, in one of the recent devlogs, the creative and technical director talked about how and when the game would be released to the public. They elaborated that they're planning on releasing a demo, which will be the game's prologue at the end of 2021, if everything goes according to their current plans, which they said they're currently on track for since development has been running smoothly so far. After that though, the game will not be releasing in chapters or episodes, but instead will be released in its entirety all at once so that everybody can enjoy it at their own pace. Their current goal is to have the full game released by the end of 2022. I do want to note that this is not a hard release date though, so if you're interested in the project, it's best to keep up regularly with their updates. The community has also been very active for this project while waiting for the official updates. since the creators have been hosting events themed after the game. The first one was March Madness, which was a popularity competition in which the community could vote for their favorite characters. The second one was Project Eden's Island, which was a non-canonical story where the characters competed in different courses and events against each other on a deserted island. And although it wasn't canon, you did get to see some characters exchange dialogue, so you could get a better understanding of their personalities. And you can read the dialogue exchanges on their Discord channel dedicated to the event for anybody who's interested in that. Right now they're hosting a new event which is called Garden of Gifts. Like in Danganronpa, the game will be including presents that you can give to the students during their free time events in the hopes that they'll grow to like you more. This event allows people in the community to submit art that can become these presents in the final version of Eden's Garden. Their goal is to collect 100 present ideas from the community, and if your idea is chosen, they'll credit you in the game. Submissions are open until October 16th, 2021 at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'll be sure to link the tweet that includes the instructions and submission links for anybody who's interested in that. But anyways, this will conclude the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you did. And please let me know if you guys would like for me to make another video about this game. I'm really excited for it. It looks really, really cool so far. And yeah, I'd definitely be interested in making a video talking about all the other characters and who I think might be the killers and the victims, etc. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Feel free to let me know what you think about this game, what you're excited for, and if you have been keeping up with updates for it. And yeah, thanks guys so much for watching, and I will see you real soon.